All right, so let's take these ideas, this feedback, all of these things that you want to say, that you want to ask for, these ideas that you want to share, and let's talk about how to put them into action so that you can amplify your voice and make an impact. And so one of the things that you'll see in your workbook is you're going to see the advocacy model. And I represent that as 3 overlapping circles because one of the things that I had to learn through my own experience was, how do I speak up in a way that feels good to me? How do I do it? And how do I say the things I'm going to say? And then what is mine to say? What's not mine to say? What should I be speaking up on? And so in the beginning of this section, I told you a story about how I joined a new organization. I had switched industries and I just had no idea what folks were talking about. Well, I'll never forget, about 7 to 8 months into my tenure there, we were acquired by a publicly traded company. And so I was chosen to lead the integration. And what that meant was, is I would have to fly to California to sit in on merger and integration meetings. And that was a whole other room of people talking about things that I had no idea what they were talking about. They're talking about shareholder things and all these things related to a publicly traded company. They had their own internal jargon. And I'll never forget, I went home again after those first days of integration meetings going, oh, these people are going to wonder why I'm here. I just look like a bump on a log. They're talking about all of these things. They're all extroverted, and I'm thinking of things 5 minutes later. Like, I need to figure out something because I have 2 more days of meetings, and I need to figure out an approach that's going to work. So the first thing that I did is I sat down and I started asking myself some questions. And it really just started with, why am I here? Like, I really started with the facts. Why am I here? And a few things that came up to me were, well, my boss chose me to be here. That's a pretty good reason, right? My boss trusts me to be here. Well, why else am I here? What do I know for sure about me? Well, I'm here because I'm really good at leading change. I'm good at advocating for people and training and programs. And so that's a key part of making sure that we have a successful merger. I asked myself another authenticity question. What unique perspective and talents do I bring to this table that no one else here can bring? This was really reflecting back on a lot of those unique talents and genius zone questions that we had identified for you earlier. And so I want you just to pause this video and I want you to think about, what is the thing that you want to speak up about? What is the feedback you want to give or the idea you want to share? And I want you just to answer this authenticity piece. What do you know for sure about the situation? What unique perspective do only you bring? What unique talents do you have to offer this insight, this solution, or this feedback? And just make a few notes. So one of the things that I recognize, well, of course, my boss wants me here. They chose me to lead the integration. I'm good at leading change, but I'm here for people. I have an HR and training background, and so the unique perspectives and talents that I could bring is, I don't need to know all about customer service. I don't need to know about shareholder value in this and what the stock price is going to do. I don't even need to know about all the P&L stuff. But what I do need to speak up on and ask questions about is when we talk about people. The benefits, the impact, the training, that's where I had expertise. And identifying and naming that allowed me to speak up from a place of authenticity. The next circle I want you to pay attention to in your book is the alignment circle. So this is the how. How are you going to say the things that you need to say? And the first question I want you to think about, because we've already identified our values in this course, is, what are my values? And how can I speak up in alignment with my values? You know, in this situation, my values are love, respect, creativity, and learning. So I could start to think about, well, how can I ask questions respectfully? You know, how can I challenge people respectfully? Obviously, I love learning, and I'm in charge of HR and people, so how can I have a learning mindset through this and really start to think about, of all these changes we're going to make, how are we going to teach them this, right? How is learning going to be involved? You know, how can we be creative in how we communicate these things? And then I think another thing that's always really helpful, especially if we're sharing an idea or we're trying to give feedback, is to ask ourselves kind of the opposite of this question, which is, how do we want to make people feel? You know, one of the things that I notice is when I'm giving presentations or getting ready to share ideas or go into a negotiation, I am so obsessed with how I feel. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous, I'm worried, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious, I'm all these things, I. But one day I started to recognize, I'm like, I wonder I've never really actually stopped and thought about, I wonder how they're feeling. I wonder how my audience is feeling. How do I want people to feel when they're watching and listening to these videos? And when I start paying attention and thinking about how I want the other person to feel, I become less obsessed with my own doubt and insecurity. And so I want you to really think about, if I'm going to give feedback or share an idea, give a presentation, how do I want my audience to feel? And maybe pause the video and write down 3 words that describe how you want the audience to feel. And then start to think about, well, what words would I use? How would I present this feedback that would make someone feel this way? You know, if I wanted to feel this way, what would I want someone to say to me? If I want to present this idea and I want people to feel excited and energized and informed, what structure would I use? What would I say? What data would I bring? What would I ask for, etc.? So we started with authenticity, the facts, the data. What do I know for sure about me? How do I say this in alignment with my values and make people feel the way I want them to feel? And we can get stuck in a lot of analysis paralysis there, stalling and not saying what needs to be said. So it's really important to look at the last circle, which is action. How am I being clear on what is mine to say? So in this situation, right, I really tried to bring in my values. How do I contribute and ask questions, in alignment with my values? How do I want to make my peers feel? Well, I want to make them feel supported. I want to make them feel curious about the people and the impacts. And so how do I present ideas or ask questions in a way that foster that energy I'm trying to bring? But then I had to be very clear, what is mine to say in these meetings? Is it my job to speak up on everything they're talking about? No, it's not. But it's my job to pay attention to and listen to those topics that might have impact on people or change or learning, and speak up and offer ideas on that approach. I have some extroverted clients who say, you know what, I love the opposite of that question, Kelly. They're like, I love to say what is not mine to say. Because as one of my clients so lovingly said, she goes, I'm an extrovert and I speak up on everything. And so what I was finding is that because I was speaking up on everything, people also loved to give me the tasks that went along with that idea. And I was overworked and overwhelmed. She goes, plus I was taking over meetings and really being a doer when I should have been a leader. She goes, so I really embrace the what is not mine to say. She's like, it really helped me get clear about what unique perspective I bring, what values I wanted to live by. And when I got really clear about what is not mine to say or contribute on, she's like, I learned to remain quiet and let other people who had more expertise than me take the lead. She goes, I also got delegated fewer things, and the things that I took were truly in my strategic area or in my genius zone. So just to recap, this tool is super versatile when you think about, how am I going to share an idea? How am I going to give a presentation? Or how do I give hard feedback to someone that focuses on coming from a place of authenticity, focusing on how I want to say it in alignment with my values and how I want the energy to be in the room, and really being clear on what is mine to say and what is not mine to say.